Hey, welcome back. I think this is episode 19 on the Panther project. It's a project that I revived from about 2 years ago. I got this. I got this frame and forks, the rear fender, that sort of thing, from a friend of mine that had left over from a restoration project I did from him, and I decided I wanted to do something with it. So I've got something here now that looks like a motorcycle. It does haul itself around just fine, but I'm starting to work on starting to get this ready to make it a little more presentable. I'm not going to paint anything on this until I get this bike all together and know that I have a functional machine. So I know I have a functional machine now, so there's a few more things I want to do before I take it apart and start making it pretty. So one of the things that I mentioned in the last video is putting a nice set of little mufflers on there. Let me take you over to the bench. I'll show you what's going on over here. It's a little bit cluttered up over here, so you'll have to forgive the mess. But these are two mufflers that I got at the latest little swap meet this fall. And I think if I put them kind of close together like that, enough that I can get a wrench or a socket in there, that I think I can make myself a nice little two muffler exhaust system out of that. So what I need is a splitter, something to come out of that one pipe on the bike and split into these two areas here. Now, what I happened to find digging through my junk pile, that's an old fork tube. Do not ask me what it's off of. It's not chromed, it's steel, so whatever it's off of, down here is an area for a bushing and that sort of thing. So I don't know what it's from, but it kind of screams British, whatever it is, but it's a small size fork tube, so I really don't know what it's off of. Anyway, I'm going to use this as part of the pipe. This is the pipe that's going to fit inside of here. It's just exactly the right diameter to go in. So I have to start creating something to form a 1-into-2 setup. So I'll show you a quick little sketch of what I'm trying to do with this. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to come up with from this to something like this. So I need to make two pieces, one here and one here, join them together and put them in another piece of tube which will fit into this size pipe, or over this size pipe, I mean, because that's the size that's coming out of the engine right now. So the first thing I got to do is make these two pieces here. So as I can see, I've got this up in the vise. I'm going to cut a slot in it, I'm going to bend it, try to get a suitable angle here, and I need to figure out how far apart I want these pipes to be as well before everything gets welded together. But that will come after I have cut this pipe down. So let me grab a hacksaw and cut a little section out of that, bend it up, and we'll see what I get. If I'm happy with it, I'll cut another piece, and we'll just keep going from there, I guess. Okay, well, getting started anyway. Got the first two pieces cut and bent. I will weld these together when I'm done and grind them down. I don't have anything that will bend tubing that thick. So I have to cut them and weld them back together. Anyway, now I got to cut these two little slots out of here so that I can join these two pieces together like this right here. Then I'll worry about that piece next. But first, let me get on with slicing those off. And by the way, I'm using a hacksaw. a basic skill that they taught us in industrial arts class that is now a lost art. All right, the way those are laying right now is the way I want them to lay on the bike. The centers back here are 2.5 inches. The centers down here on the narrower part are 2 inches, so that's got about the correct positioning. So I've got these two pieces made to go here. Now I need to find a piece of pipe that will go on over this one. If I can't find one, I'm going to have to make one. So let me go down through that junk pile underneath the lathe there and see what I can see. So I've come up with something that vaguely resembles that little sketch right there. And there it is. As mentioned, I was searching for a piece of metal to use for that connector to go onto the exhaust pipe from the bike. I seem to be favoring fork tubes as my favorite type of stalk today. So anyway, that'll be beautiful on there. I had to machine out the inside of that so it would fit over the existing pipe. So when I put a clamp on here, it'll actually clamp down to that exhaust pipe, just like these will clamp onto here. Now I've got to get the welder going, of course, and we'll weld these joints up here. And that shouldn't be too difficult, but it's supper time. I think I'm going to call it quits for today. Maybe I'll come out here a little later on tonight, but probably wait till tomorrow. Anyway, so far so good. All right, it's a Thursday night tonight. This is 2 nights in a row I got to come out to the shop. Anyway, as you can see, I finished up my little collector piece here. So the exhaust from the engine will go into this tube, get split in two, come out these ones here, and go into those two little mufflers down there on the lift. So anyway, I'm pretty pretty pleased with how that came out. Well, I had to weld up those seams where I cut and bent the pipe, and of course I've ground them down smooth afterwards. And this joint here has been welded together, and I just finished welding this piece onto that. So now I can join those onto the pipe that comes from the engine, and they'll go into those pipes. And as I said before, those old fork tubes are a perfect fit in there, so they make a great little collector for that. So yeah, let me just grab the camera there and get a close up of those. Okay, camera, come here. Yeah. So I think they'll look pretty good on the bike. Let me think now. They'll be turn it a little further than that, like about right there. So yeah, I think that's gonna look real nice on there. Let me just grab them and show you roughly where they're going to go back here. I'm going to be cutting that exhaust pipe off because I'm putting mufflers on, but I'll cut that off just ahead of the ahead of that mounting lug that I've got on the frame there. So these will go on about here, and they'll sit on the bike. And let me think now, be right about there. So just come back to about the tail light bracket. So they should look pretty cool on there. Setting up there like that. Anyway, time will tell. Of course, I got them upside down. Yeah, so that'll go on there, something like that. Anyway, that should look good on there. So the next thing to do is cut that pipe off right about there. And then I'll have to make another little bracket to go on that bracket to hold these onto either this fender bracket or that one there. Then I also have to tack weld on the back along this little bracket right here to hold the two mufflers apart, and of course to hold them up as well. So anyway, it's coming along. I'm pretty happy so far. And again, this is basic skills that you used to learn in high school, which they don't teach the kids anymore these days. They don't teach welding, they don't teach carpentry, they don't teach drafting, they have a course called, Tech Ed. And it just barely scratches the surface of like how houses are built. Basic, really, really, really basic, right? But that's something I really feel that the school system in this country has dropped the ball when it came to educating our young people today, because I'd say they just don't know how to do this basic stuff. Anyway, enough complaining. Maybe I'll do a little rant on that someday. That would be a good subject to rant and bitch about. Basic skills. Actually, I was talking to one of my sons just about 15 minutes ago when that subject came up. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. Next thing to do is get that exhaust pipe there, cut the right length, and see if I can fit those mufflers on the pipe. Well, I had my phone on the charger while I was doing this, but check this out. I mean, that's as sturdy can be on there. I've made a couple of stainless steel little muffler clamps for here. I found a nice new chrome one to go on the front of here. I chopped off that exhaust pipe that I had going back there, and as you can see, there's a bolt welded to it to fasten it onto the frame. What I did up there was I welded a bolt to the side of that splitter piece and used that stainless steel band that I made there to hold that. And there's another band back here holding the two mufflers on. And I sloppily welded that little bracket that was on one side to the top of the other. So anyway, that's on there good and sturdy. So, gee, I wish I had documented this, but anyway, let's stand back from a couple of different angles and have a look at it. I'll just put you on pause for a second. Okay, we're at the far front corner of the garage now. See if I can zoom in on them a bit. Doesn't look too bad from that angle. All right, let's go back out. Put you on pause again. I'll go up to the middle. Okay, that's what they look like from the middle. And stand by, we'll go up front. And there they are from the front of the bike. Well, I really don't think that looks too bad. Only thing left to do now is start the engine up and find out what it sounds like. So I think there's enough gas, just enough gas in that little tank up front of the seat there to start it. So I'm going to put this camera in the tripod. We'll see if she'll start up, see what it sounds like with some actual mufflers on it. So back into pause again. Okay. I came down on top of an oil can. Alright, gotta get rid of that brick. I do my welding on top of a brick. I'll keep the hot stuff off the lip and that sort of thing. So, yeah, let's just pull the choke on this carburetor. See if it'll go, and if it does go, what kind of sound will it make? pretty darn good. And we're in an enclosed building as well. Yeah, I got it like that. I'm quite pleased with that. So, now, let me just get this out of this tripod. One more walk around. Now I have a really interesting looking exhaust system on this little bike. Might not be the right engine, but hey, at least the exhaust looks different, kind of neat. Yeah, I like it. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap this one up. It's the end of the week, so I'll start something new next week. But I'm pretty darn happy with the way that exhaust system came out. It sounds good. It's well muffled without being too muffled, still sounds like an engine when it's running. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with it. But getting back to one of the things that I said in one of the earlier clips about this being basic skills that was taught in junior high and high school. And anyway, it used to be called, like I said, industrial arts class, but that whole part of the school system was taken away and just disappeared into history. And so many people that I know, not everybody has a welder in their shop or in their house, but just basic skills that you learn from doing this kind of stuff at school. Like how to maintain a home. If you own a house, it's not like living in an apartment or something. You have to know how to repair it, how to maintain it. And basic stuff like make your own stuff on your own. Like nowadays, people under 50 tend to think that you need a 3D printer to do stuff like this, or if you can't get this kind of stuff, it's impossible to do anything with it. Where when I'm restoring bikes, for example, if I don't have a set of headlight ears for a Norton Atlas, I get a piece of metal and I make them. But nobody wants to do that anymore. If you can't buy it, it's just, okay, I'm screwed. Can't buy it, can't do anything with it. But these were basic skills, and I don't know why the Nova Scotia government took trades training out of the high schools and the junior high schools, because the government certainly did a disservice to young people in the communities regarding that sort of thing. Because, and I don't know why they did it. I know back around the early 70s, vocational schools started to open up around the province, where you could go for free when you were done with high school. You could go and learn a trade. Only thing you had to buy was your books. The school was free, and most of the courses then were 2 years, some were 1 year. But and then it was taken over by a different part of the government, so now it's community college, but you have to pay a huge tuition fee to get a course now and take it. And I know that because one of my youngest boys just took a course in carpentry and had to pay for that, right? But anyway, like I say, it's a shame, because people think, you can't do this without a 3D printer, or you can't do up a drawing without a computer-assisted drawing program or something like that, or you can't make something on a lathe because you don't know how to run a regular machine lathe. You need a CNC machine where you tell a computer what you want to do, and then the computer tells the machine what to do, and it spits the piece out that you want when you're done. But you didn't do it. You didn't make it. No skill of yours went into it except for programming that machine so it understood what you wanted it to make. You didn't make it. Where's the pride in that? As far as I'm concerned, there's you don't get any bragging rights from doing something on a 3D printer or a CNC milling machine. It's not the same as doing it by hand, like cutting these things out with a hacksaw and machining the parts you need to machine on a regular machine lathe and welding them together with a welder. And by the way, that little welding machine I have, it's a little Hobart wire feed welder. And if any of you have one of those little MIG welders and you're using it as a flux core welder, for God's sake, if your machine will take gas, get gas for it. Because if you're using argon and CO2 when you're welding with those little machines, you go from looking like a seagull shit all over the pieces of metal that you're joining together to looking like someone welded it up who knew what they were doing. So yeah, you can make a big difference just having that bottle with those machines. And I digress when I talk about that. Anyway, that's enough of that little rant. But like I say, next week I'm not sure what I will get up to with this. I do want to do some stuff over there on the primary side. I know I need to make a guard or a cover for that chain, and I do want to shorten up that stub on the end of the crankshaft because it just sticks out too far. It's unnecessary and it's ugly. But yeah, maybe that's what I'll do next week. But the machine, well, it also needs a chain guard. I could get to work doing that or something. But I'll figure out something to do with it next week, as long as the boss hasn't got my whole week soaked up, doing renovations around the house. And she promised that the one we're working on now is the last one for this year, so we shouldn't have to do anything more until springtime. And then, of course, there's maintenance and repairs. They always come before renovations. Right? But anyway, I digress again about that. But anyway, I'll just shut up now. I'll say thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. There'll be more next week. Be good to each other, and I'll be back next time.